Hi guys, and welcome to this video. Sorry it's taken me a little bit longer to get this video up than expected, but I've had a bit of a stressful 2 weeks at work, and coming home and editing a video just didn't seem like something that I really wanted to do, if I'm honest with you. But this wheel video is something that I've been asked for a lot, after a lot of you guys on Instagram have seen the wheels that I've been doing. So I just thought I've got a bit of spare time tonight, I'd get this wheel video edited up so we can get it up and uploaded for you. And I will just say apologies if my voice sounds a bit rough, got a bit of a bad throat at the moment. Right, so getting into the video, we've got all the standard prep done on these wheels, and we're just really going to concentrate on the actual painting side of things. So first thing is obviously make sure that you tack rag them and panel wipe them all off properly, and make sure they're nice and clean before you start, because the worst thing with wheels I find is silicone and stuff like that. So I always start off by going around the actual outside of the rim like so, and then I'll give the actual face of the wheel a really light dust coat over. This will give me a bit of an indication on the wheel of whether I'm going to have any issues with silicone or anything like that, which, as I say, especially if you're doing wheel refurbs like this where the tyres are staying on, it's quite common that the tyres have been slicked up and then you're going to end up with a lot of silicone problems and a lot of issues like that. Now if you do find that any sort of small silicone marks or anything like that do show in your wheels, just give them another one or two really light dust coats, and that should help keep the silicone down in the actual wheels. Now once that first coat's gone down and that first coat's tacked off, then I'd say you just go at painting this wheel like you would any other part really. You're just going for a nice closed coat. Now for me personally, the one thing that I find sometimes a bit awkward, especially with really multi-spoke wheels, like some of the Ford wheels have like 10-15 spokes on them, so the BMW wheels as well, is finding a start and a finish point. So for me, I use the tyre valve as a reference. It just gives me that little point where I know where I started, and then I'll know where I finish as well. So once you've done this coat, let this wheel dry down. If you're happy with how much coverage you've got, then obviously you can move on to clear coat stage. If you're not, then put another 1 or 2 coats down, however many it takes, to make sure that all your sanding scratches and you've got that nice even colour across your wheel, and then we can move on to stage 2, which would be the clear coat stage. Now this would be the stage that on Instagram I've been asked the most questions about how I apply the clear coat so smooth and so even on something like a wheel without getting any runs or anything like that on it, because it is quite tricky, especially on multi-spoke wheels, to get really nice glassy finish on the wheels, because obviously they're not something that you want to be flat polishing and messing around with. Now the biggest and the most important thing for me for this is clear coat choice. For wheels I prefer to use the colour mix, which is a cheaper clear coat if you will, as far as buying a 7.5 litre kit, but it's got an extremely quick flash off time. So on something like these wheels, I can do a coat on these wheels and it'll flash off in a minute or two. The other thing is I don't add any thinners, which again just aids that flash off time. So I really will just try and put these down as smooth as I can on the second coat, and then within 60 seconds or so the surface is flashed off enough that it's not going to start to run or sag. Now clear coat wise, again I'm going the exact same way around these wheels that I did when I put the base coat down. I'm starting off at the valve. For the first coat I'm just giving them a really nice light even coat across the wheels, and then for the second coat, same as we would do with any car panel, we're going to give it a really nice wet, real finished look coat, and really for me that's all there really is to it. Now wheels can be extremely tricky to paint, especially getting in all the little gaps and the nooks and crannies. So another thing for me would be a really good spray gun that really atomises the clear nice and fine. Now on this particular video, obviously I'm using the GTI Pro Light. I've got the 110 air cap in it. I'm running at about 2 bar. I'm not quite sure how many turns out on the fluid, but for me on these wheels it left me with a really nice finish. Now one of my favourite clear guns at the moment that I have been using a lot is the iWater Evo. I've got that in a 1.3 HD setup, and I have to say if you turn the fan down on that and run that at around about 1.5 to 2 turns out at 2 bar, it is an extremely good spray gun for doing wheels. even though it is a bigger spray gun. Now, in previously painting wheels, I've preferred to use a mini jet or something like that, and I have actually just bought the SATA 4400 mini jet in a 1.2 RP setup purely for clear coat for doing wheels, because I really like the SATAs, and it's just got that smaller fan pattern, and it makes it, with it being a little bit of a smaller gun, it makes it that little bit easier to paint wheels with. But for me, especially in the shop, in this booth, I've really been liking the Iwata Evo for doing the wheels with. It's been giving me absolutely immense results on the wheels, and like I say, I really would say that the biggest thing with doing wheels is your choice of clear coat, something that flashes off really fast, even if it means putting like a fast hardener in it or something like that. It just means you can get that glassy finish off the gun, and you're going to end up keeping that glassy finish without any sort of like issues with runs or sags or anything on the spokes. Also, the angle that you're holding the gun to how you're painting the spokes, you'll notice that I do angle the gun quite sideways and travel the length of the inside of those spokes rather than trying to get sort of like straight and flat onto them. Sometimes it can be a pain, you do have to adapt your painting style quite a lot to doing wheels. Before I started at this shop, personally, I really did find wheels a right pain in the arse to paint, and they're not my favourite job to do, but we do a lot of them. But the more of them are done, the quicker I can do them, and the easier that I'm finding them, and now we can go in and knock out a set of wheels in no time, and get that really nice sort of like factory, really nice smooth finish on them at the same time. So you can see just after that first coat of clear, straight away that's already tacked off, and I can go straight round and put my second coat of clear down. So at this point what we're concentrating on is getting the final finish on these wheels. So from the gun I'm going to try and get this on as smooth as possible. I'm not just going to try and layer it on as thick as possible. I just want to make sure that especially inside them spokes there's no dry bits or anything like that, which is tricky to do, but the more you do wheels the easier it becomes, and you tend to do it without thinking about it. Also on this second coat, as you can see that I've just done that with that wheel there, is I'll move one section each way around the wheel. That'll just help me, because of the fast flash off time on this clear, it'll just help me keep that wet edge that little bit easier around the rim, because sometimes you can find that if you got wheels with a real large number of spokes, that when you go around the spokes and you come back to where you actually started on the wheel, the main issue that you'll have is that you could end up with just a dry edge on one of the actual back of the spoke faces, and that's just because that clear has just flashed off that little bit too quickly on your way back round. So I will try and do like now the valve section, do one way, and then on most wheels I will then do one the next way and then flip over to the other side. It does seem a little bit daunting at first to be sort of like swapping from one side to the other. But once you get the hang of doing it this way, you can keep that wet edge the same as you would on a wing or a bonnet or anything like that. You're just moving that wet edge around the wheel, and it will just help you with that final finish on your rims. And as I said, for this coat we're just going to give this now a real nice good wet coat all the way around the wheels, and then to finish the final coat what I normally do then is go across the whole wheel on top of the face with just an extra coat of clear, which has just helped give that face of the wheel that extra bit of a glassy finish. Now you'll notice that we're doing this on a proper wheel painting stand, and it is one of the best ways of doing it, because you can just spin the wheel with your hand as you're going around and painting, and I mean, as you can see there, I can't really fault that wheel looks absolutely perfect to me. But yeah, these wheel stands really do just help you when you're painting stuff like this, because you can just freely spin it with your hand like that and move around the wheels a lot easier than, say, if you put it on top of, I don't know, a drum or something like that, or if you had it on a static stand. You could, not only have you got to try and paint your way around the wheel yourself, but you're constantly moving your body from side to side and trying to move all the way around the wheel and back and forth, and it just becomes a bit of a pain in the arse. So these wheel stands, I think in the UK you can get these for about 100 quid, and they are worth the money. This one that we've got is a little bit flimsy if you get a heavy set of wheels on, like something like a Range Rover set of wheels or something like that. But Fast Mover also do a bit more of a heavy duty wheel stand, which is also around about the £100–130 mark, and it's really heavy duty, and it's something that I've just bought for my own shop actually. I bought the more heavy duty stand, which I will give you guys a bit more of an update on once we finish just doing a few little bits to my shop, because we're having a few little things fitted in there to make some videos with in the near future. But for this video guys, I hope you've enjoyed this little tutorial on how I like to paint my wheels, and I hope for you guys on Instagram that have been asking me for a while now about how I get the finish on the wheels, I hope this just gives you a bit of an idea, even if I have sort of waffled on a little bit in this video. I'm sorry about that guys, sometimes it does get a little bit hard to, you know, edit and explain a video up when it's something that you do all day every day. Sometimes it is actually tough to sit here at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night and actually try and explain your way through how you paint a wheel, because when you do it all day every day, it just become like second nature. You just pick up the spray gun, you know what you're doing, and you just go at it. So that's it for me guys, and I'll see you again soon for the next video.